we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the pregame. My name is Dad, and I am your host today. And with me today, our co-host is going to be Fluffy. Fluffy, why don't you introduce yourself here?
Well, I just showered in bacon grease, so we're going to have a nice, fun time. I'm Fluffy Hobo, residential politically homeless guy. Let's go.
I'm 100% sure that bacon grease does not smell as good as soap, but we can go with the stinky pig if that's what you want to be.
It makes me all greasy and feels nice.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about a few things. Today, the Tim went over some stuff in the culture war with Meet Kevin, who I believe is going to be our guest tonight. Don't take my word on that. But we're going to talk about a few stories that are in the news, and yeah, let's just hop right into it. So, first story today. Let's get this up so we can actually see it. Oh my goodness. One day I'll do this without any technical difficulties, and you'll all be very proud of me. Okay, here we go. All right, so Tucker is from Newsweek. Tucker Carlson is a dead man walking, Putin ally warns. So, a prominent Russian propagandist has claimed that former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson is a dead man walking for saying that the US and Russia will go to war with one another in the next year. The Rosia One talk show host Vladimir Solovyov, oh man, I'm horrible at names, justified his own prophesizing of an armed conflict between the two nations by referring to Carlson's earlier comments before implying that Carlson would be assassinated for telling the supposed truth. He cited the presumed desire of the now podcast host on X, formerly Twitter, to interview Russian President Vladimir Putin as something that they will never forgive him for. Okay, so this is the reason why I brought this one up. This is escalation again, it seems like, just from people talking. But the people talking are starting to sound way, way, way more angry than they have. Not just in the United States, where we're seeing all the political escalation from the lawfare stuff that's happening, but now also internationally, we're seeing the conflict that was kind of starting to fade back. The Ukraine conflict is getting out of the news because of the political cycle, but we're getting some justification for all-out war from both sides. Like the propaganda from both sides is running towards war, and it's kind of scary, honestly, to me. Uh, what do you think, Hobo? Do you think we're running towards war, or do you think this is just more of the same? Like, where are you at?
So I think this is more of just the same. I feel like this is just more Russia just trying to beat down as much as they can American propaganda. But at the same time, this is Tucker we're talking about, and usually he's pretty spot on with a lot of his stuff. I'm going to say his batting average is about an 80%, but I don't know. To be so bold to say like he's a dead man walking like that's a clear threat, like even from old mob mentality stuff.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say for sure. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the article, it says there the top Kremlin propagandist Carlson has actually requested to interview Putin again.
Yeah.
Didn't he interview Putin one time before?
Yeah, I think he did. Let's find
Yeah,
out.
so this has got to be a recent one to interview. Also, quick side note, Jessica in the chat has said that Jimmy Corsetti is on tonight as the Timcast guest.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it looks like he sought an interview with Putin, but I don't know if he got one. Oh, yeah, here we go. Back in February.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that I just don't see this is the same thing that we keep talking about in here in the United States. Like there's so much crazy stuff happening and nobody's putting any water on the flames. If their top propagandist, quote unquote, over there is saying you're going to kill one of our top, or you're dead, one of our top, you know news people on the right side, on the conservative side, that's not putting flames on the fire. That's making everything worse. And this article even kind of pushes it even further. That's the whole concept of threatening our journalists, I guess,
I
and
mean,
that being a commonplace thing.
usually the first people to go in wartime is the journalist because they're telling everybody what nobody wants to hear.
Yeah. Well,
And
it
I
might
say
just be
that
me, but
nobody as in like the big governments.
yeah. Well, it may just be me, but I don't want war. So,
Nope. I'm a non-interventionist, so
okay.
I don't want war at all.
All right. Well, let's hop over here to our next story. I know we're all kind of seeing all the disasters that are happening. We had the hurricane out in Florida recently. We had, and that went up into the Carolinas. We had the fires out in Maui. We've been having just a ton of natural disasters. I'm sure nobody really cares about it that much, but the flood and earthquake down in LA. Now the White House is asking Congress for more money to help cover natural disasters. A big part of people's concern with Maui is that, there wasn't any attention to it. There wasn't any money to it. And, right here last month, the White House told Congress the Federal Emergency Management Agency Disaster Relief Fund needed 12 billion, but on Friday the White House said that it wasn't going to be enough and increased the request to a total of 16 billion, citing the fires on Maui and in Louisiana, flooding in Vermont, and Hurricane Idalia slamming into Florida. But they're not doing anything. We saw what they did we had that guest on IRL the other day, who was in Miami or in Lahaina, I believe it's called, and said that FEMA's not doing anything. It's all the people on the ground. Why would we want to give them more money? I don't even understand why they would be asking for more money when they're not proving that they're using the money they have now appropriately.
So I actually know a little bit about this. So FEMA is kind of, let's think of it like Social Security. Okay, it's this giant pool.
Mm-hmm.
Congress will actually take money away from FEMA when they don't use that pool of money to spend it on something else.
Hmm.
So it's possible that FEMA only has like $4 billion or 24 billion, however these numbers are. And then, like, even though on the books they technically have, whatever balance sheet that they have, Congress will just dip into it and be like, well, I don't think we're going to have a hurricane, so they'll take it and use it on something else, and then promise to pay it back later.
So what's
That's
the
something that's been done a couple of times, I believe.
so I'm actually more on the side of get rid of FEMA altogether if that's going to be the case. If you're going to have use it or lose it money, and a hurricane doesn't come, that's not good for the like for the taxpayers. What happens to that money if they don't use it? You said it just kind of evaporates out into Congress, or
So I don't remember who it was, but I know they were a financial political guy on YouTube. I don't remember who it was, but one of his suggestions was, I think it was when Bush era was going on with Katrina, is he said that FEMA should be run by states only. Like, the states run their FEMA like in state because they know what disasters they usually have and how much budget they should put towards it. And then that
totally.
way Congress can't touch it as well because it's run by the states and not a federal level.
Well, then we're going back to, I think our main solution here is to decentralize a lot of the federal funding that we have, you know.
Yes.
And just like
Mm.
what Kanye West said in 2008 still applies now, or what was it, 2008? I can't remember
Was
now.
it more money, more problems?
No, it's actually that George Bush does not care about black people. So let's
Yeah.
move on to the next story. We've got this. We
Hold on,
got.
before we go,
Yeah,
before we
sure,
go,
sure, sure, sure.
go back up to the photo of Biden and Jill walking through.
Oh,
I
aren't
would
they
just like to
beautiful?
say that Ford Flex really starts to spark me like ideas of how well built they are compared to the other car.
Yeah, that thing in the back's pretty jacked up.
Right? That was it. That was it. That was the quick side note that I thought of.
That's an important side note. So everybody, if you're looking about driving through the middle of a fire, the Ford Flex chassis will stay intact for you. However, you might not necessarily survive it. Just for warning there.
Still, it's just that's just insane to me.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about, we're going to grab this article from the Daily Wire. Massachusetts activates the National Guard to deal with influx of illegal aliens. This one got me really interested. Another day, another Democratic state is forced to face the consequences of their own policies. This time, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey has had to activate more than 200 National Guardsmen to assist at hotels turned shelters as the Bay State continues to be inundated with thousands of illegal aliens. Of course, this whole crisis is happening because the Biden administration has completely abandoned the U.S. southern border. Just a heads up, this is from the Daily Wire, so going to be a little more conservative leaning. So, according to Fox 25, 250 guardsmen will be stationed at shelters across Massachusetts to help provide basic needs until certain locations can find contractual labor. Massachusetts is in a state of emergency. Okay, I'm going to pause this here. Massachusetts is in a state of emergency. How is Massachusetts in a state of emergency for something that they opened themselves up to? Right?
So this is one of those situations where they never planned on it actually happening, and they virtue signaled themselves into this pickle. That is my theory.
So then do we just let them live in their filth? Let them have
Hey,
this
they
and deal
voted
with
for it. They voted for it. Let them go. That's how
Fair
I
enough.
feel.
Fair enough. See, this is a big number. There's 20,000 individuals living in emergency shelters in Massachusetts. What is even the population of Massachusetts? That's a lot of people for that small of a state. You know,
Uh,
what is that?
it's like the estimate is 6.91 million.
Okay, so maybe
94 million.
maybe more people than I thought, but still, that is a lot of people.
Yeah.
What do you think that this is something that's going to solve itself on its own if we just keep watching? Because we know the border's open, people are coming in millions at a time over this year. What do we if we have all these people coming in, they got to go somewhere. We can't seem to get them out of the country, or at least we don't have any political people making it happen. What do we do with these people that are here and we can't arrest and can't get rid of, other than send them to the blue states?
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. We offer them cruise tickets, free cruise tickets to another sightseeing country, and then sabotage the ship once it lands.
We'll send them all to Barbados. How about that?
Hear me out.
You know, we actually did do this something like this in my home city. We were buying one-way plane tickets for homeless people. We're like, where you want to go? We'll fly you anywhere, basically.
Well, what
And
Biden doing the illegal in the nighttime with the military planes?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
not quite, but you know, that's pretty bad. With the border being this open, do you think we can immigrate these people, or do they have to leave?
Um.
I guess that's my question.
So I'm not very well versed in the immigration policy. I will outright say that right now. I am not well versed in it. But if I had to make my kind of guess, it would be I would think we would go through kind of like what Obama did and said, we don't care if you're illegal or not. We just want to get a head count and then go through and get people who can help immigrate those that are here
Hmm.
into some sort of process. If they can be immigrated, cool. If they're convicted felons, get them out.
I'm gonna
That's
be,
kind of my soft stance on it. I am not fully committed to that idea, but that's my soft stance.
you know, I'm just kind of brainstorming with you here. I'm in the same boat, but my idea is more like it's a little more utilitarian. I
Get
think
against the wall.
well, we should use the ones we can use and send the ones we can't out. Like if they have a skill, if you came up here and you're like good with your hands, or you know you're a mechanic, or you're like an engineer, a doc, even doctors, you know, or blue collar, white collar, you have some skill that we can use. We should keep you. You know, we want to make our country better and stronger, and that's how we would do it. But if we have all
Right.
these people who are just burdens, like you can't bring, you know, dozens of drug dealers up here or dozens of like whatever. Like if you have no potential, I'm sounding really bad here, but if you have no potential, we got to send you away.
You're not exactly off the mark. And it again, I think it's because of my ignorance towards the immigration policies that we have that I can't construct a good answer.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm thinking. Here's the solution. I got it. Every immigrant here who believes in the democratic republic we keep, and every immigrant here who believes in socialism we send to back to Venezuela.
Massachusetts. Oh, right.
Massachusetts.
Back
Yeah,
where they went.
Massachusetts. Perfect. Maybe Massachusetts. We'll make Massachusetts the our that could be our boot. We send everybody we don't want there. Okay, so we're gonna move up to our. I guess he's not our guest today. This was the guest on the Culture War this morning. His name is Kevin something or other. Meet
Meet
Kevin.
Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah.
This
The
guy
Dollar
is
General version of Ryan Reynolds.
discount Ryan Reynolds. Yep. So we've got our. He does kind of look like Ryan Reynolds if you see him. He's like,
Yeah.
it's pretty eerie how close he looks to Ryan Reynolds. So he is he's a money guy, but he's on the blue end of the world. He did a great conversation with Tim today, and I think
Mm-hmm.
what we got is somebody who can have opinions that we disagree with that are on the more liberally type side that we can actually like talk to. One of the things I said when he popped up was like, "Oh, look, a Democrat willing to talk to us." That's all it is. I honestly thought I didn't like him listening to him, but the more he talked, the more I realized he is somebody who could actually help with the conversation. You know, he's in the middle enough. He's got enough like insane ideas from the super uber liberal side that he can talk to them, but he's also logical enough that he can sit here and have a conversation with somebody he disagrees with. I think we need more of these people around, honestly.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed the culture war today. Like I really did. I feel like the chemistry that him and Tim had was on par, especially when they kept like breaking off to talk about like World of Warcraft and other stuff.
Yeah, that was
Like
fun.
that was just genuine conversation,
Don't you love nerd callouts? That was perfect.
right?
Yeah. I was waiting for the Leroy Jenkins moment, but never came. He did have
That was staged.
he did bring something up I want to call him out for, not because he's just because you can't come into our world without us talking some crap to you, right? Like it's a need. He brought up the $100 million of product theft from Dollar General, and he's saying extra more than normal. Wow, that's crazy. Then he comes in though and he tries to kind of downplay it, and he says, "In fairness, I dug deeper. There are 19,327 Dollar Generals." That may be true. There are a ton of Dollar Generals, but we know from some other articles that I think I have up. Oh no, I already closed it up. Sorry. We know that most of these thefts come from a very small number of the Dollar Generals. You're not going to get, you're not going to go to like a rural town with like 6,000 people and have a ton of theft. But you are going to go to San Francisco, Oakland,
I was
Santa
just
Rosa.
gonna say, I would like to see a heat map of like where all the Dollar General thefts have been reported.
Yeah, I wonder if we
That's
could
what I
find
would
that.
like to see.
Well, let's look. Dollar
All the
General
theft is in California. Hey
thefts.
now, that's not exactly true. There's probably like one or two thefts on the East Coast somewhere.
Well, I mean, we got New York, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably go to
But
New York
no,
for
I
this.
remember Dollar General was setting up a whole bunch of Dollar Generals during COVID.
Yeah.
Like they just built a whole bunch of them. I think there's one like every 15 miles now.
I know a year or so ago they also had oh man. Yeah, I don't
Some
know.
of these stories are from stolen merchandise. If they plan for it, insurance is catching on.
Yep.
Interesting.
Oh, see, or maybe he's right because we have some. It's actually going down.
But the former CEO, let's get
You
that right.
don't do that.
The former CEO, let's get that right.
During the 3 month period, and percentage of net sales fell. Oh, okay, see, they're losing money, but they're not. I don't know. See, I was coming up with trying to call him out, and now I don't even have the facts to back myself up. So could talk crap about me. Um, I don't know. Would you think, just logically though, you gotta think that the shrink or the theft is happening in the same places that the theft is happening at other stores, right? Like Target had that huge rush on their store down in LA a few months back. So did was it Abercrombie and Fitch, whatever they were.
Right.
I just would have to
I'm
assume
not.
it has to happen in the same places.
Kind of just sounds like a California problem. Let the San Andreas Fault break already. Make you an island.
Look, man, not all of California is evil. I know it
No,
feels
but
that
we
way
can
sometimes.
supersize Alcatraz with it.
Did you ever see Escape from LA with that, what's his name?
No, not very. I'm an old man. I don't get pop culture references because I don't watch movies.
Oh, don't even. Escape from LA. I'm an old man too in this one. Escape from LA is the 90s, I gotta say. LA, here we
The
are.
last movie I watched was Boondock Saints 2.
1996. So, Boondocks 2,
Yeah,
Boondock
yeah, that was the
Saints.
last movie I watched.
Boondock Saints is a great movie. I'm telling you all, you need to watch this. This is a great movie. It's horrible and it's super bad, but watch it. It's awesome. All right. So the we already did this one, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna segue over to bringing some people up now.
Yeah.
Would love to hear from you guys. I know that you all have better opinions than me, so please come up and make me feel stupid. It'll make me feel
If
great.
you've got questions or clarifications, please raise your hand and we'll bring you up.
There you go.
Until then, I'm just going to keep talking and make sure Dad is uncomfortable as possible while
I'm
I keep talking
I'm so
and just
uncomfortable.
constantly getting him upset.
I don't think you could. I don't know, man. I don't think you could make me mad on purpose. I
I'm
think you
not
can only do it
trying to.
accidentally.
I'm not trying to. You know, actually, Dr. Mack had a good point. Dr. Mack, would you like to come up and explain the rates? As he's typing in the chat, yes.
All right, Mr. Mac, Dr. Mac. My apologies. Let's bring
Let's
you
get
up.
you in here. Can't raise hand. Now he did.
I just invited him up. He just asked to. Are you on a cell phone?
Mm,
We have some issues with cell phones. Let's try turning off the screen. Maybe we can bring him up that way.
good old technical issues.
You guys
Well,
welcome.
during that midtime, we got JW. JW, welcome.
Aha, I got
Welcome.
him.
I will cede the floor to Dr. Mack.
Okay. Dr. Mack, you have the floor, good sir. What are
All
your
right.
problems today?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All
Yep.
right. So the issue with the thefts that they were where they were gaming the system,
Hmm.
I certainly don't think they wanted this to happen. But what's one of the things they did in addition to adding all this extra security, um, was to start marking things up since there was already inflation and people were already like sort of used to seeing these prices skyrocket. They were adding even more than they needed to. So that way, when the item was stolen, when they claimed it on insurance, they got the shelf value, not just the replacement value. So something they might normally
Oh,
make 10 cents on, when it was stolen, they were making 20 or 30 cents. Some, like that, three times the profit essentially,
yeah.
if it were stolen. And of
Okay.
course, the insurers slowly but surely, they have to collect the data over months and months and months and then have analysts looking at the data to see that happening. But it does appear that they are catching on, they are raising rates, and that's not a sustainable, right? Like once everybody's doing that and everybody's insurance is unaffordable, it's not going to work anymore. But there is this weird like overlap where thefts are on the rise. So, hey, let's start increasing things so that we make more off the thefts. The other advantage, even if it isn't that much more in terms of actual profit from the insurance,
Hmm.
is you also get to write that off as a loss. So, if you wrote it off higher than what you normally would have sold it for profit, when you
Hmm.
write that off as a loss, then there's a tax advantage to that as well.
Okay. So looking at that, see that makes things worse for the rest of the country. Then, like the one store being robbed. I mean, it's not one store, obviously, but we'll say like probably small locations of stores being robbed is going to increase costs for the entirety of the country. And
So a lot of things already work that way, unfortunately. Like something as simple as your credit card, the reason your interest rate is so high isn't because they need to make 13% off you. They only need to make 7% off you. But for every one of you, there's somebody else who's going to default and not pay them anything. So they have to charge you a higher interest rate and make more money off you to protect themselves from all the people who they're going to lose money on.
Well,
So there's
this
a
is
lot of things in the world that already work that way.
well, this is the argument against decentralization, though. When you have systems in place like that, where the things that are happening in my city are affecting your city so much, it's hard to decentralize from each other, right? Because if we have a company that's in my state and is having problems in my state, then it increases costs in your state. So wouldn't you want to get involved to change that?
Yeah, they use good customers to subsidize bad customers, and they use good businesses to subsidize bad businesses. Like that's a thing.
Makes sense,
And so
man.
that they're not encouraged to stop doing that because they will make less money.
Well, I'm going to encourage them to stop doing that with my great attitude and my positive attitude and go get them ability.
I'm a huge decentralization guy. I feel about it. No, I'm not, just because I understand it doesn't mean I approve of it.
All right. Well, thanks for the input, Dr. Mack. Really appreciate it. That was,
Sir, thanks for bringing me up.
yeah, definitely, dude. Okay, Mr. JW, what do you got?
Well, there's a large degree of overlap in what I plan to talk about and what he brought up. So I am going to divert a little bit, and I have two very short comments, if you would allow it.
Yeah, please hit us.
So first, I'll stay on the topic of Dollar General, and this may be totally erroneous, but it's just a gut reaction that it's not necessarily the case that theft of Dollar Generals would increase as in the same area as thefts of other stores, because it's very possible the people that were already stealing from Dollar Generals have moved to like higher mark locations because it's low risk, and they
Good
can
point.
get the same thing in terms of value, but they don't have to rip off the little guy that no one's paying attention to in the underfunded town where Dollar General is the immediate servicer. They can go to Gucci, achieve the same thing, have no risk, and have a better return for their effort.
Right, right. And that probably goes with those giant mobs of looters, or I don't know if we call them
Yeah.
looters at this point, or pirates, maybe pirates. Seems like pirates, Steve,
Heathens.
right? Heathens. That's much better.
My second point had to do with the guest, and this is maybe because I have a little bit of previous insight with this particular character. I paid attention to him when he was in his running for governor, and I don't have any particularly ill feelings about Meet Kevin, but he comes off to me as sort of like a sounding board sort of character. I've watched interviews with him and other financial people and other political people, and a lot of his style of conversation is just agree. And I
Yeah,
saw a lot of that with Tim, so I really haven't narrowed down my thoughts on him. In terms of his policy, I do think he's fairly moderate, so I'll grant him that. I don't think he's as far crazy left as a lot of people. I also know he has a young son, so the degree of like school stuff has probably had some weight on his input as well.
you know, a lot of what I had with him was that's what I thought at first is he was non-confrontational, and that was his whole personality. But the more I listened to him in the podcast, the more it sounded like he had some things he was pretty firm on. So
Yeah, so I mean, he had elements he was willing to stand on. One of the things that he was talking about a lot in his run for governor was like reinstituting the construction of a high-speed rail across California, and he had a good layout of how he planned to have it funded and how he planned to enforce construction goals. So I don't think he's a total whack job, but like I don't necessarily trust his appearance in an interview just because he sounds like way too agreeable to me, no matter
yeah,
who he's talking to.
I could see that. Yeah, definitely. I
Well,
would
that could
like.
also be because he was a real estate guy.
Oh yeah,
That could be his real estate training and work.
wasn't Trump a real? Isn't Trump a real estate guy?
Yes.
Is this like two opposite spectrums of real estate guys?
I mean, it's possible.
You know, I
Well,
think.
that's my piece, so I don't know how to step down at this point.
Yeah, I'll
Do you have
kick
to
you
kick
off.
me, or is it just maybe
We will
middle
kick
button?
you
All right,
off the
thanks, guys.
stage into the hole.
I just accidentally invited you to come up again, so if you that was on me. You know, with this guy though, I really do want to see more people like him though. You know, it'd be so nice to have a few not insane Democrats who we can talk to.
I mean, the dude reminds me of like a 2012 Democrat.
Yeah, Democrats before they lost their ever loving mind.
Yeah, fair point.
Well, I found out recently. I think I'm a 1990s Democrat now. You know, I'm good with safe, legal, and rare. I think that's a good. I'm actually pro-life mostly, but I think policy-wise, I could get behind safe, legal, and rare. Just
Fair
getting us
enough.
off topic. Oh, but you know, I want more people with that side of the idea to come up to the public conversation. Like, we'll argue with each other. The people who are going to end up voting for the Republican, we argue with each other. We never have Democrats argue with each other.
One of us. Google goggle.
All right, what you got, Jeff? You want to come on up here?
Yeah, my issue with that though is like, all right, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all good getting people from the other side to debate and talk, but how many people that follow them will join them, and how many people will just say you're not one of us? Just like now they switch side, go fuck off.
You think?
Sadly, too many.
You think just talking to Tim Pool will break people?
Well, it's just whoever's following that person that is actually speaking to Tim Pool, and if that person agrees with Tim Pool, most likely the people that were following him, believing whatever the hell they were believing, would probably just be like, nah, we're just gonna split away from you and go join the cult again.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, because sometimes I'm gonna stick my footing on this. Sometimes it seems like Tim gives people an off ramp to get off of their ideals and potentially give them an option to change ways. Like, he's really good at articulating, like, hey, take this branch. You don't have to be a complete dumbass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder what they follow these guys for. If they're not just following like for true ideas and ideals, like are they actually following to to make some change or to do something good, or are they just because they're on the left? I don't
Well,
know. They just
you
on
can
the
make the
left.
same argument with the always Trumpers. There are some people like what's her name, Laura Loomer. She's a great example. I don't think you could tell her anything that would get her not to
No,
vote for Trump. And
you couldn't tell her anything.
you're
Hmm.
not going to grab those people with, a middle of the ground Republican. You're going to grab those people with Trump. So maybe we'll get the same on the other end of the spectrum where we have people who are able to come to the middle. They're not the Nancy Pelosi super fans. They're not although I don't know if she has any super fans, let's be honest. But
She probably does.
the people who could come to the middle, if we get more of these people like Meet Kevin out there, he could coax people into the middle who can change their political ideas still. That's my opinion.
I
It's
think
not
all
a
of
bad
the
opinion. I just don't know how you're going to achieve it.
I
Like
think
this,
all the super fans for Nancy Pelosi are in the ground.
I'm 99% sure she doesn't have any super fans, but if any of you out there meet a Nancy Pelosi super fan, I would love to meet her.
It's
Or
called a
let
super
him.
PAC. That's your super fans. That's a super PAC.
Okay, okay. All right, JW, you're back up. What you got to say, buddy?
I had a final note that I was going to add that keep in mind when we have guests like Meet Kevin that, I mean, again, I paid some attention to him, but like most of his content, especially back previous to his run for governor, was almost essentially apolitical. And in reference to the Dollar General tweet, it's entirely likely that his entire scope of viewing that tweet was from hey, let's analyze the market impact of this on General stock, and had nothing to do with politics.
That's a good point too.
So like, it's I find it relatively unlikely that he used that to make a political point in any case.
Well,
Are you
through his,
accusing us of projecting political points
No, I'm
into
just
his
saying
statement?
that like
I mean, you'd be
kidding.
right.
I'm
Tim's shows
kidding.
are very political, and I think that if we ever have a guest that's apolitical primarily, that we shouldn't necessarily like. Well, yeah, actually projecting would more or less be correct, but we shouldn't necessarily think that their mind is as politically engaged as most of the people that engage here.
You know what I liked about what I liked about him is that he wasn't as political. Like he has the politics behind him, but when you really listen to him, he's a finance guy. He cares more about the money.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe we need more
Most
of
of
those
his
people.
video content is like reading earnings calls and talking about what Jay Powell's going to do. And even when it got to the Fed and the Secretary of Treasury and stuff like that, it wasn't usually like a left versus right thing, other than saying like, well, the Republicans on this side want this and the Democrats want this, so we're going to have to reach consensus. And that was a lot of what he was espousing.
Do you think we can reach consensus on anything?
Oh, absolutely.
No, I think that's more, well, on anything maybe, but on some things, I think there's a lot of hills people are going to die on
Yeah.
No, I think it's just a matter of being informed.
Okay.
Because, I mean, look at how many times, what was it called? It's something that Crowder does. Change my mind.
Oh yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at how many different types of things like people will change their mind, even slightly, or at least make them think when they go and talk to him about stuff.
This is something I love about the culture war. We have a show like Crossfire again, where we can talk to people and get angry at each other on camera and have these debates to let some of the tension out. But I don't think
Well,
that
that
gives us common ground.
I think that it has a degree of positivity that terminates somewhere below the level of Bill Mitchell. So
All right. All right,
anyway,
man.
I will
Yeah.
once again relinquish. I have dishes to do.
Hey, dude, thank you. Yeah. All right. All right. So not too bad. We got some good opinions out there today. Um,
Yeah.
I still think we should worry about Tucker Carlson. I don't think he's going to get assassinated, but it does look like people are getting angrier and angrier out there, and more violence from everywhere across the world is getting called for. I really want to talk
I
about.
think Tucker will be fine.
No. What are you talking about? We got to
I think
protect our Tucker Carlson with our. No.
he'll be fine.
No. But I'm
I
so
think he'll
scared.
be fine.
I'm so
I
scared.
don't, as long as he doesn't leave the States, he'll be fine.
You think he's going to be able to get Vladimir Putin to talk to him?
I would be, ooh, if I was a betting man, I'm going to say 70-30 odds. Like, I think he's got a good shot at doing it because I think Putin's looking for any way possible to get his message out. Because all we've been hearing is a lot of UN propaganda.
Yeah.
So it's possible Putin might look at this and go, I have a chance to speak freely
I got an
because of what
idea.
he did with Trump not too long ago.
I got an idea. 3 people on Joe Rogan's podcast: Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin. Oh, and Zelensky. We do the peace negotiations on a podcast.
That, you know what? You do that and charge $10 a person to watch the stream? Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
That would be
Imagine
interesting.
imagine being able to witness like actual peace talks live. That would be
That's
so
true.
fun. I mean, insane, but a blast.
Yeah. Until that day, though, we're stuck with all this other dumb shit.
Yeah, we'll probably not see that. We'll probably see something more explosive happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, like Nord Stream. Like my hopes and dreams are all dead.
Man, you're so black pilled at the moment. Well, let's end us on a little bit of hope, a little bit of love, a little bit of jazz here. I am really, really happy to see that we have now had, what is this?
Episode 5.
Episode 5. This is starting to work. We're starting to get some people in here. It's fantastic. I'd love it if you guys could have. I'd love it if you guys could send me articles. I'll read them. If you have anything you want to talk about before these shows, something Tim said you didn't like, you want to complain about him. I'm just kidding. But if you got something, anything you want to say, shoot it to me in a message. I'll try to bring it. I'll look at it. I'd love to help.
Or,
Yeah. What's up?
or I was gonna say we have a news chat in the Discord.
That
You can
too.
just tag Dad at those, and then
Please.
he'll know like those are the ones that get to.
Definitely.
Otherwise, your inbox is gonna be dominated with people shouting stuff out to you, bud.
I am again showing my boomerness, even though I think I'm a millennial.
It's all good.
I'm the most
Hey.
boomer millennial ever.
Welcome,
Hey.
Makey.
What's up, Makey?
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know. You make a thread. Just make a thread in.
Oh, there you go.
News
Look
chat.
Look at the tech guy coming to save us.
Thank God. I guess I don't need to have 3,000 messages in my inbox. But yeah, so if you have something, we'll get that going. On top of that, I'm really glad we have a cast member in here again. Jessica, we're gonna call you out so everybody can yell at you later. No, I'm just kidding. But we do have some cast members in here. If you're a lounge member and you want to come in and try to talk to people, upgrade to silver or wait the 6 months. Other than that, we've got some mods and stuff who'd love to talk to you. If you go into the lounge general, you can go in there and have a great conversation, get to know some of the crew before you move up. And also, don't forget to go watch The Culture War, if you haven't gotten to it, please go to Watch IRL tonight. I think Jessica told us who the guest was, and I've already forgotten. But that will be announced later today. And I'm Dad. Thanks for showing up. Hobo, you got anything else you want to shout out before we get ready to close up here?
Yes.
All right.
It is Jimmy Corsetti tonight.
Jimmy Corsetti.
Yes.
Perfect. Maybe we can learn a little about Jimmy Corsetti before we run away here. Jimmy.
I was going to let the staff do their jobs.
How dare they? Oh, he's an archaeologist? All right. So, tonight should be fun. All right, guys. What is this?
Everyone have a wonderful night.
Yes. Thank you again. We'll see you all on Monday.